Everybody, Roy Petitfils here with you today. Today I want to talk a little bit about relationships. I'm headed this weekend to speak at a emerging young adult conference in the Diocese of Fort Worth, and the big theme is relationships. And not only in Fort Worth, but I sense in a lot of places where I travel and I speak that there's a real hunger in folks to learn relationship skills, and they want to hear about relationships. And what that tells me is that a lot of folks are hurting in their relationships. And I don't think that people are necessarily hungering for relationships per se. You know, that's the buzzword, you know, we want relationships, and that's what we think we want. But what we really desire, what we most deeply desire, is what relationships can give us, what they have the possibility of giving us, which is intimacy. Intimacy. And now a lot of folks associate that word with physical intimacy, and that is certainly one powerful form of intimacy. But you know, intimacy, as I would define it, is this desire to know and to be known by an other. You know, St. Augustine would say, you know, our hearts are restless, O God, until they rest in you. And I believe that that is perhaps the most beautiful expression of our deepest desire, to be intimate with the other, which is God, and that's who we're created for. But in this lifetime, we experience that partially. We participate in that divine intimacy in our relationships with one another. But that's what we're really hungering for. It's not just to have a few thousand friends on Facebook. It's not just to have someone who we can go out to dinner with. It's not just to have this whole web or network of relationships, friendships. I can know that what we most deeply want is intimacy. And the first step in that, before we can be intimate with anyone, is to be first of all intimate with ourselves. And it's to know ourselves. And that is so important. That is so important that we spend time getting to know us. What? You know, if you can't come to know yourself on some foundational level, then it's going to be impossible to really get to know another. If you can't experience intimacy with yourself, meaning a deep desire of who you are and who God's created you to be, in light of the life that you've lived and how God has moved throughout your life, and your joys and your sufferings and the gifts that He's given you and the struggles that He's given you, you know, that there's so much fertile ground there for spiritual growth and for self-knowledge just in the course of one's life. One spiritual author says, God comes to us disguised as our life. God comes to us disguised as our life. And that's the first step. That's the first step. If you're not willing to invest time and energy in coming to know who you are, then you are going to be frustrated in coming to know others. It's going to be like going to a potluck dinner with a whole bunch of people, and you're the only one that didn't bring anything to the potluck dinner. You wanting to eat off of everyone else's. And that is, no one wants to be in a relationship with someone who just completely caves into and meshes into another person. You know, good, healthy relationships are when two people come together, two entities come together, not this. And this is what happens when, in relationships where they're enmeshed. But two people come together. Now, this will bring about conflict, and that's where the skills come in, communication skills and whatnot. But you want two whole people coming together to make something bigger. And that's not just in marriage, that's in all relationships. So more on relationships, more on practical ideas of how you can get to know yourself better, more on communication skills and whatnot, and other relationship skills, roadblocks to healthy relationships, coming up on the blog.